This is a show where we look at everything you need to know to manage your career. We have a truly inspirational show today, and we have a very special guest as well in the studio right now with us, Mr. Saleh Lootah, and we have a little bio about him. Let's hear what his background is.
Saleh Abdullah Lootah joined Al Islami Foods, formerly Co-op Islami, in 1997, and since then he has worked his way up the corporate ladder. Currently, he is the managing director in charge of the company's operations. Aside from his work with Al Islami Foods for the last 3 years, Saleh Abdullah has been nominated the management representative for quality. Saleh Abdullah has played a big role in the success and good reputation of Al Islami Foods for providing halal foods and high-quality products. Saleh believes strategic planning, unwavering commitment, strong leadership skills and customer focus all help to make his company a success. Saleh Abdullah graduated from California State University in the U.S. and holds a master's degree in business administration. In 2003, Al Islami Foods won the Dubai Quality Award for the trade sector. Saleh Abdullah Lootah is married with 3 children.
Saleh Lootah, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me with you.
It's really exciting. You are running the world's largest Al Halal frozen food manufacturer. Is that right?
Yes.
That has got to be how big is that? How many factories, staff? I mean, how do you quantify that?
See, when you talk about the halal food worldwide, it's what we have right now is Al Islami Foods as well as Al Farrouj as the fast food restaurant. When it comes for Al Farrouj, when it comes for Al Islami, it has been going now for almost 25 years, been running. It's been founded by my uncle, Had Saeed, who is a true believer in Islam, being a religion and a system at the same time. He's the same founder of Dubai Islamic Bank. He's the founder of Co-op Islamis, providing Muslims halal food in the whole world. We have almost, if you combine both Al Farrouj and Al Islami, we have almost 800 employees right now. Our product is all over the world right now. We've opened our first fast food restaurant in France, Al Farrouj, just last week.
That's unbelievable. What was it like 25 years ago when he started? I'm always excited about was he a budding entrepreneur, or if he's already starting banks, he had a few other businesses under his belt, or was this the icebreaker?
See, he always tried new things, up to date. Thanks God, he's still with us. He's our mentor. He's our role model. And whatever he do, he does not like to do the norms. He always tries to do new things. If you see Dubai Islamic Bank, when he established Dubai Islamic Bank, nobody was talking about any Islamic banking at that time. But he's been visionary to believe that the halal and the Islamic banking would come into reality and will be demanded by all over Muslims. You're talking about almost 1.4 billion Muslims all over the world right now, 1.8. Something like this. So he's been visionaries. So this is what he established. He believed in 2 things: that if you have to have an ideal society, you have to close 2 gaps. One is the financing. This is why he started Dubai Islamic Bank. At the same time, you have to provide them the halal food. At that time, nobody was talking about halal food. Most of the food were coming from abroad, and nobody was talking, is it halal or not halal? People were believing whatever was coming at that time was halal. But when they find out that there is a lot of misuse of the word halal, this is when he stepped in and created Co-op Islami at that time.
This really graphs on well when I coach senior executives, and a lot what happens to someone may be a CEO working for a large company, and they may decide that they have a good grasp on the market and they want to start their own business, so they make the jump. And what I always say is, one of the things I see between the ones who are successful and the ones who maybe hang up the boots a bit early is a sense of purpose, that deep underlying sense of purpose in what you're doing beyond just generating revenue. Because if you're going after a market opportunity, that can change, that can go away. But when you have a sense of purpose, like what you're saying is that we need to create appropriate Islamic al-halal food for Muslims all over the world, now that's a driving force that can push you through any stone wall.
Absolutely. And this is what he believed in. I mean, when he gave you the story of how he started Dubai Islamic Bank and how our people were really surprised, what are you talking about? A halal banking? they've never heard about something like this, but he said, no, I believe that there is a demand for it, and it will be start increasing. And this is what we see these days. Most of the big banking right now, banks, they start already having their own Islamic window. At the same thing when it comes for the halal food. What he believed in is leaving the decision to the consumer. We're not saying that the halal food is only for Muslims. I don't want to say this. We're not saying that the Islamic banking only for the Muslim. No. Whatever he tried to, provide, it is for everybody, but being done with values. What do we mean by halal? And most of the people talk about halal and a lot of description about halal. What he believes in halal is much more than just making it halal for the sake of, let's say, if it was food, it's only slaughtering. No. He talk about bigger thing. He talk about how do you treat the animal when you do the slaughtering. He talk about how do you treat your employees when they are your employees. He talk about are you cheating your consumer or you've been very faithful with them and very truthful with them. He talk about so many things which come from our values. And I'm sure that all religions have values, and we have all religions have common value with which all of us believes in, and this is what he believes in. Like what we have a saying in Islam, حب لأخيك ما تحب لنفسك. Love for yourself exactly what you love for your brother. It is what they say right now, win-win. It has to be win-win. You cannot cheat consumer, because if you cheat them once, second time, third time, fourth time, they will catch you. Especially these days with the social medias, everything is open. You cannot hide yourself.
There's nowhere to hide anymore.
You've been very exposed these days.
For those of us who aren't ramped up, what really is the difference between an al-halal food or meat product and a conventional?
There is a big misunderstanding when it comes for halal. Most of the people think the halal is only the slaughtering, which we don't say this, which is not right, because I'll give you an example. What if I sell you a slaughtered animal, but it's expired meat? Is it halal or haram?
I think haram.
Haram.
But, yeah.
Okay, what if I sell you slaughtered animal, but I cheat you? Instead of it is, let's say, a lamb, it is a cow meat.
Haram.
This is what we are talking about. Halal is so big. How do you deal in your banking? Is it the halal way or the wrong way? How do you deal with your consumer? How do you deal with your employees? How do you really communicate to your consumer? Are you really being truthful with them? This is the big word of halal, of what we are trying to communicate. So it's not only the slaughtering. What's happening right now, most of the people just focus on the slaughtering and forgetting the big
the integrity of the whole process. This is a clean product. This is it's a quality standard.
Across all the transaction we do, we have to make sure that everything's in detail has been checked. Ingredients, in terms of our communication and marketing, in terms of our slaughtering, in terms of our people being ambassador of what we're trying to communicate, especially if you are carrying a brand like Al-Islami.
Well, it's interesting, as we think, obviously integrity is something that threads at most success theories. It's hard to find someone who's talking about success not to echo your sentiments, whether al-halal or otherwise. And interestingly, in the recruitment market, we found that it's almost some studies show almost 40% of people are lying on their CVs, and that can be a major issue and probably not your best choice when you're trying to find a road to success or the road to the top. And I think Linda Berenger, one of our producers, played a spot on that. Let's hear where she went into the city to find out what the people think about lying on your CV.
I've only really had one career change. As a student, I worked in retail for a long time, the whole way through university, before getting into my career. So I suppose I've really only had one career change, but I wouldn't have said that retail experience was a career choice.
If I think correctly, nothing. That means I stayed the whole time in one single industry. It was the banking industry, but I changed a lot of companies, so I think in my career it was 4 of up to 5 different companies. That was all.
Actually, I just started in Dubai from Cedar Tree to just carry on my career for a good future. I got opportunity in Cedar Tree as a supervisor, delivery supervisor. Then I applied for NKD visa, and really for me it's good opportunity for NKT Pizza because I started in NKT Pizza as a bike driver. Then I become assistant manager. Now I'm working as a store manager in NKT Pizza shop. And for me, it's best opportunity for NKT Pizza is super, really.
I've had two because I was not happy in my previous careers and it didn't really suit my personality. So I looked for something that was more compatible with who I am.
I've never had a career change. I'm probably the worst person to ask. I've never changed career. I've only ever done radio. Even when I went to broadcasting school, which was a specific school just for broadcasting. So I've never changed careers.
We're in the studio with Mr. Saleh Lootah, Managing Director of Al Islami Foods, the world's largest Al Halal frozen food manufacturer. Mr. Saleh Lootah, welcome.
Thank you.
That was an interesting piece. It wasn't actually lying on your CV. I got that wrong. It was, how often do people actually change their jobs? And this is an interesting topic because there's almost two schools of thought where one can say, staying in one company, like Jack Welch, for example, that's how you really create value, getting your 15, 18 years, getting the relationships, getting that internal equity. Other people say, getting introduced to best practices from different organizations, working in different geographies. How should we be thinking about developing ourselves?
See, if you talk about the workforce right now has evolved. If you talk about the old days, people sees or perceive that if you've stayed in the companies for long years, that you've been a really successful person. But with the change we see in technology, with the change we see in companies, how they evolve, how fast do they go, and how fast do they change their strategies. So I would say that and it shouldn't be very long, because I believe that if a person stays in the same company for long years, he would be giving all he can. So he need to be really moved from job to job. I would say something like 5 to 10 years, 5 to 7 years.
Should stay in one company.
Should stay in one company.
And then change, or you should stay in one company for your whole run.
For whole run, I think you will get bored.
Okay. So you think every five to 10?
Approximately, I would say 10 years.
10 years, okay. Interesting. I think the average tenure of a CEO in the role in the U.S. is about 7 years, 7 to 8 years. So that graphs on.
But as I told you, it has been changing. In the old days, yes, a person would stay for 20, 25 years in the same company.
Right.
But with this age, with the technology we have, with the speed we're going with, it is really changing.
It's moving too quickly.
Fast.
So when you're looking at this development phase, I mean, it really starts back in high school and in elementary school, I guess. What were you like? I'm always curious to know what the CEO or MD, GM is like, back in grade school. Were you automatically commanding leadership?
See, I wouldn't say things. I think what really affect or direct our personalities in 3 phases. One, when we are very young, in the young ages, when we start to go to school, and then when we are in university, and the last phase when we are in the workforce. These are the 3 phases which we go through, which really, shape our personalities in terms of leadership. When I come to the first period or the first phase, it's when you start going to school. When you are very young, let's say in the first day at school, how do your mother or father treat you when you come back from school? This is very important, which a lot of people really miss these ages, because this is where you are really setting the stage for this individual to be really as a leader when he grow or he miss the opportunities.
I think now people are working till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, so that almost doesn't exist anymore for a lot of people.
Oh, you have to push yourself. You're absolutely right. How are we taking care of them in this early ages? I'll give you an example. Very easy example. How do you push him to learn more? How do you push him about learning new things every day? So when he come back from school, how do you ask him, what did you learn today? So when he go the next day, he really start preparing to answer you when he go back home. Did he really learn something, or he went and come back without learning anything? If you see these days, as you said, we're getting so busy, so we are really missing a very important period of this person, of this individual, if we don't shape it at that time. This is the first phase. I'll give you an example. And this is we grow up with our families. I remember, I'll give you a real case of my mother. She doesn't read or write. But I remember as soon as I come from school, she said, bring the books. And she make me sit in front of her. And I start reading whatever I learned in the school. She does not know what, she cannot correct me if I read it by mistake. But she was always on top of my head to make sure that I already practice what I've learned in the class. These small things really affect you when you grow up. Somebody who push you at that age to really make sure that you're coming the next day learning something.
And drive that work ethic, I guess, as you develop yourself later on in adult life, having that regimented approach to your work.
Then after that you go to universities. How do you make sure that, as they say, sharpening your saw? Always learning something new. Because life is changing. I remember one advice I got from a person who I will never forget. He said, Saleh, make sure that you write your CV every year. Make sure that there is something new in your CV. Even if you're not looking for a job, but make sure that you held yourself accountable, that no 1 year goes without you learning something new. Very important. But the real learning and experience you get is from working. This is what our founder teaches us. He said, get the knowledge from doing. It is not from only reading, because this is where you get the real learning.
Right. So are you an avid reader now, or is it more focused on action, getting involved, rolling up your sleeves, and getting into the business itself?
Both. You have to balance. You cannot see, well, I will not learn and I will just keep doing, because you might be doing mistakes. But when you do the learning at the same time you do the doing, you really balance your doing the things. And this is what really I benefited from big, is having my MBA while I was working. I remember I used to work until 4 o'clock and my classes start at 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock. That was the best, because most of the things which you learn in the MBA, you have the chance to practice it. And this gives you the real learning. I'll give you an example right now. See, if I give you this big book which teach you how to swim.
Okay.
Or I throw you in the pool, or I push you in the sea.
Right.
There where you really do the learning. If I give you a
or
book
you drown.
Yeah.
One or the other, but yeah.
It's exactly what I wanted to say, is that by doing the thing, you shape your experience. And this is where you get the wisdom. By doing it more and more and more. And this is where you become master of what you're doing.
Right. But you also remind me, there was this success guru, and he was so famous for teaching people the ways of success. And someone came to him, and this guy really wanted to be a success. So he said, come on, teach me the ways. And he said, no. And so he keeps harassing him. And so finally the guru says, okay, meet me on the ocean, at 7 a.m. and I'll show you. So then the guy says, okay, I'm here at 7 a.m. He's like, teach me the ways. And he says, no. Go out now into the water. And so he goes out and he's in his clothes and they're soaking wet and he's up to his neck in water. And then the guru says, okay, grabs his head and pushes him under and starts drowning him, right? And the guy says, what the hell are you? Finally he gets up, before he passes out, he almost dies. And he's like, what the hell, why are you doing that? And he says, when you want to achieve as bad as you want to breathe, then you can be a success. So, and I think when you jump in the deep end as well, to a point of your story, it's when you need to learn to swim or you're going to drown. That's almost what I guess they call that the gift of desperation, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is different. I mean, when you read about sales tricks in the theory book, or you read it in one of the classrooms, it's totally different when you are sitting in front of a customer and you really want this sales to happen. So you try all angles to make it happen. Another situation, when you are really in tough situation in the company where you are, let's say, making losses, or you're trying to make a profit, or you try to improve the performance of the companies, so you start really looking at totally different from what you read in the book.
Right. How important is it to have a sense of vision in terms of where you're going, in life or in business? How important is that? And when did your personal vision start to develop?
It's extremely important. I will tell you something. I really benefited big From the 7 Habits of the Mostly Effective People, Highly Effective People, from Stephen Covey book. I'm sure that you've
Yes,
read
a very
the book.
famous book.
Very famous book, and it's really touch you, and has so many things which is obvious, but he structured it in a way which is very important for you to set your destiny. Don't let life drive your destiny. You have to sit where do you want. I mean, talk about, I think, the second habit, which is start with end in mind. You have to start with end in mind. Where am I going? Daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. You have to plan your daily. You cannot wake up in the morning, you don't know what to do. You cannot start the week without planning what I will be finishing in this week. Planning is very important, and most of the people these days just leave it for the destiny. Oh, if it happened, it happened. No. You have to drive the destiny.
Right. I mean, I guess I had visited your office, and that's one of the things that really stuck out with me is that, you know, there was really a clear vision. There's a really deep sense of purpose. You really have clear milestones. You have success metrics in place. I said these are kind of a lot of the ingredients that we would look for in a successful executive or successful professional. And if we're trying to help someone become more successful, we'll start to put these things into their life that you're talking about now.
Absolutely, you're absolutely. This is what we tried. I mean, we tried our best. I wouldn't say that we are perfect. Perfection does not exist. Always there is room to improve. Always there is room to grow. And this is what we've done in Dubai. If you see what happened in Dubai, we are really very lucky to be in Dubai and to be led by a person like Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. I mean, who put goals for Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid?
No one.
No one, himself.
His goals were the impossible, so it would be
himself, and always challenging himself.
Absolutely.
I mean, we were very lucky, and what happened in Dubai will never happen, I think. Not in our lifetime, because this does not happen very fast. I mean, the way he drove the government sector, he really made the private sector feel shame of themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
The speed he was going through in government sector push all private sector to challenge themselves, because people know that government sector always is slow, doesn't move, no visions. But what Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid have done totally different. And this is what I was telling the people in our companies, that if the change surrounding us is faster than the change inside our organization will vanish. And this is what we were pushing ourselves to keep up with.
Can you say that again? If the change, pardon?
If the change outside our organization is faster than the change happening inside our organization will vanish. Consumer perception will change. Consumer demand will differ. Their requirement will totally differ from what we are doing. So we have to keep up. And this is what Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid done in Dubai.
With me in the studio is Mr. Saleh Lootah from Al Islami Foods. But before we get to that, let's look at why people are lying on their CVs, how much they lie on their CVs, and what effect that has.
Got to pick a pocket or two, boys. You've got to pick a pocket or two.
Lovely. Just lovely.
Really? Thanks.
Listen, Joey, we definitely want to see you for the callback on Saturday.
Excellent. I'll be there.
Okay. And listen, don't forget to bring your jazz shoes for the dance audition.
My agent said that it wasn't a dancing part.
Oh, Joey, all the roles got to dance a little. But believe me, with your dance background, it'll be a piece of cake.
3 years of modern dance with Twyla Tharp. 5 years with the American Ballet Theater.
Hey, everybody lies on their resume, okay?
Not everybody, Joey. Quite embarrassing situation. This happens not only in a US sitcom. Many people lie on their CV. It's a common practice, says Toby Simpson, managing director of the Gulf Recruitment Group.
It's a surprising amount in the UAE. I think over here within the region you have a lot of expatriate workforce, and they kind of have the mentality very often that it's a competitive job market and they're trying to do everything they can to, you know, improve their chances of finding a position. But also they think they've left behind the mechanisms that could check and verify their CVs in their home countries. It's kind of, you know, a fresh page, a new start for them. But where they forge a lot is, you know, particularly, you know, over the last 3-4 years, there's been a lot of change within the market, and people have been let go through no fault of their own. There's been a lot of flux. So it's very common to find people that have 3 or 4 jobs in the last 3 or 4 years, and they believe that this is actually going to make them less employable. So what you find a lot of the time, I think one of the most common things that are omitted are that short-term job where someone's done something for 6 months or 7 months or 8 months, and they've just erased it and lengthened the time on the previous jobs around that. That's very common.
Most prominent person to forge his CV, Yahoo CEO Scott Thompson. He claimed he had a degree in computer science when he didn't. When Yahoo's board found out about the bogus, it gave Scott Thompson the boot. One thing's for sure, he won't be running a company like Yahoo anymore. But back to the UAE. When it comes to skills and degrees, just a few people cheat, says Toby Simpson.
I think a lot of that is down to the fact that it doesn't mean as much to people over here. We all come from different cultural backgrounds, and we recruit people from all over the world. So let's say the qualifications in Australia may not mean to someone from Brazil, may not mean a great deal to someone from Brazil, and someone from Italy may not mean a great deal to an Emirati. So academics seem to be less of a target. It's more about massaging when people work for companies and actually perhaps what they did for them as well.
So, what are the worst things to lie about, and when is it okay to embellish? The answer couldn't be clearer.
Well, there's nothing okay to lie about. A curriculum vitae, you are producing what is actually a course of your life. And if you produce anything else, you're misrepresenting yourself to anybody out there. It's not okay. Where it's not okay to lie is when you actually change material facts about your CV. So maybe your job title because you don't think it reflects what you did exactly, and particularly the dates on a CV. And it's not okay because it gets you into real problems in the job process. Maybe not at the start of the job process, but most employers over here and most good agencies will also do some form of checking on your background. And as soon as they find the tiniest discrepancy between what you've actually produced and what the actual facts they've found out about, it puts a very large amount of doubt on the job process. And the lie itself probably wasn't worth it. You probably wouldn't have come up with a different result at all. But as soon as that lie is detected, no matter how small, the trust disappears immediately with the employer. And the consequences will almost certainly be that you will not get that job.
Listen, Joey, I got a problem. I just got a call from my dance captain. He's having a relationship crisis and can't get out of Long Island.
So does that mean the audition's off?
Listen, Joey, seeing as you've got the most experience, show him how it's done.
Joey took a run for it. It's not the crime that got him, it's the cover-up. So better not forge your CV. The consequences could be severe.
This is Eye on Careers, keeping an eye on your career.
Well, we're here in the studio with Mr. Saleh Lootah. Saleh, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So that was quite interesting. I think it tied in very well to kind of what you were talking about earlier about integrity and meaning of al-halal. And we saw there the destruction of someone's success, the CEO of Yahoo, for lying on his CV. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Not a way to drive a career, not a way to drive a business. I think as soon as you take integrity out of the equation, you're really on thin ice.
Absolutely. See, you can lie 1 time, 2 times, but you cannot do it 3rd, 4 times. You will be getting caught.
It'll be the end of the line.
It'll be the end of the line. You're absolutely. And I think this is because it has a big reason of the way he grew up. How does he see cheating?
Absolutely.
In his life.
Absolutely.
It's like you've been growing doing it. So you grow with it until you come to a situation where you are on the top.
And that's why I think it's so important for the media to start portraying positive images of success and leadership. And it's one of the things that we're trying to do here on this show. And thankfully that you've come on to talk a bit about this. I definitely appreciate that.
Thank you very much. See, especially these days with the social media. I mean, the social media have changed the whole life. We talk about marketing, we talk about strategy, you talk about consumer awareness. It is not like it used to be anymore. You cannot bluff the way people used to bluff. Social media will make you very exposed because consumer will talk freely. I remember one guy told me a very good reason why social media is much, much stronger than the marketing campaign we do. Why it's be more effective. Because he was saying that, see, the amount of space social media can buy and can send message is much, much more than the marketing budget any company has. How many billboard you can put? How many ad you can put? You cannot stop every, you know what I mean? Every
Absolutely.
message.
Absolutely.
So,
And the exciting part as well, though, on social media is, it's making people much more ambitious because, you can just grow there's no boundaries anymore. There's just an unlimited, market. You can actually talk to people. I have people contact me from all over the world through the internet. In fact, I was just actually speaking with one of the ministers in Libya before I came on the show, and it just was click, 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 so easy, right?
the whole world became very small right now. With the social media, with the internet, with the number of flights Emirates taking us to the state right now. I remember when I used to travel from Dubai to US for my schooling, for my studying, it used to take me almost 24 hours, sometimes 2 days, with so many stops. Now you can go direct from here to California, 12 hours, 16 hours.
Right.
And now they're starting to put a destination for every state. So the whole world become very small right now.
Very small, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed has driven the Dubai brand to every corner of the earth. And one of the things that I look at, and I think one of the greatest assets of any top performing executive or professional is their ambition. The more ambition you have, the more successful you're likely to become.
Absolutely. This is where you have to push yourself. You have to have a dream. What exactly you're doing every day, every week, every month. What are you trying to portray?
Right. So you would say ambition is one of the most important things, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And it's really the differentiator for Dubai.
And we are really lucky having a mentor or a role model like Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, who really pushed us to the limit of that there is nothing impossible, everything we can do. And whenever you hear him, whenever you sit with him, this is what he tried to communicate, that believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself. And this is what he's done. He have confidence in himself, he spread confidence among all the local surrounding him, and this is what happens. He gave them space, he gave them resources, he gave them the confidence and the trust. This is where Dubai right now. It is because of this confidence being built.
So thank you so much for coming on the show, Mr. Saleh Lootah, looking at the importance of integrity, looking at the importance of having a vision, of being goal-oriented, of putting your success metrics in, having a dream, working towards it every day, and making sure you're measuring your progress towards that goal. And of course, your number one competitive advantage, ambition. Dream big to get big. And I wanted to thank